Facebook Livers, welcome to the class. We're going to get ourselves moving. Let's find a spot in the room, somewhere where you can move around and comfortably get yourself moving. Let me just rearrange my room. Yes, so let's get moving. So just to let you know, so that you know where I'm at. I woke up and my shoulder was feeling sore today. So one of my little tricks that I bring out in class, but I haven't done since we've been on lockdown because I don't know what equipment you guys have got at home. I've got a little roller. I've got a ball and it's nice and spiky. Most of us will think that's something you're supposed to put in a tumble dryer, and I'm sure it will work perfectly well in a tumble dryer. But it's a good myofascia release ball. So if you're particularly, although as those of you that come to class with me know, we also use these tennis balls quite often. So if you feel as though you're a bit stiff anytime, it's worth getting that knobbly bit and giving it a roller. I find rolling against a wall, and weirdly it's always my shoulder, but actually it was my glute that was tight, so it's had a knock-on effect. So it's worth just spending 10 minutes if you're feeling particularly... there I see my regulars suddenly grabbing tennis balls. They're just appearing and everybody's going, oh yeah, we remember, we do tennis ball roller in before we start. So if you're feeling a bit stiff, just have a little roller somewhere around the body and see if you can find any of those little spots that feel a little bit, ooh, your sweet spot, shall we say, and roller just around that area, and you might find that just releases it a little bit, so you can get yourself feeling a bit looser before you start. So on that note, let's allow ourselves to find a nice spot where we've got room to move around a little bit. And if you want to, by all means, put some music on. I have not got any music on, so that you guys can do, and then you can choose the music that suits you. So, bringing those feet underneath the hips, and we'll allow the toes to point forwards. Let's allow ourselves to take a few nice gentle breaths, and we'll allow ourselves to find a sense of calmness. In the eyes if you feel comfortable enough to, and just start to zone in on your body. Start to become really aware of your posture in this standing position. So as you stand here, you might notice that you've got your weight particularly far back in your foot. You might find that you tend to have your weight further into the toes, onto the balls of the feet. Maybe have a little play between those two places. Find that place where our weight's right in the centre of the 2 feet. And that place, let's just allow ourselves to breathe nice and gently. And notice that once your weight comes into the centre, maybe you don't find you need to lock into your knees anymore. Maybe we can find a sense of softness into the knees. Maybe we can find a sense of softness into the hip sockets. And then we've got an awareness of our pelvis. And we'll just allow ourselves to gently tip forwards and gently tip back. And we're going to imagine that that pelvis is a bucket of water, filled to the top, tipping a little bit out of the front and a little bit out of the back. I've got a few male clients who I work with one-to-one, and they tell me the bucket of water isn't that helpful. But what they find more useful is imagining that you've got your tailbone, you've got a plumb line attached to your tailbone, and it's dropping to the space between your heels. So if that's an image that works better for you, then allow yourself to imagine plumb line dropping to the space between your heels. And then we'll allow ourselves to lengthen really tall from that tailbone. So allowing the spine to extend up towards the space above us. And let's allow the head to float up towards that space, as if the head were a helium-filled balloon. And then let's allow the shoulders to lift. And we'll roll the shoulders back and down. And again, the shoulders can lift and roll back and down. Let's do that a few times. And we'll allow those shoulders to ease gently towards one another and sink down towards the tailbone. So the shoulders glide gently down towards the tailbone. And as we do, feel a sense of the belly button drawing in, as if you've got a pair of jeans on that you've just washed and you're just putting the last button into place. Gorgeous. So we're breathing nice and deeply there. We've got that squeeze in the tummy, but the rib cage is able to expand with each inward and outward breath. Lovely. Nice deep breath. Let's allow the right arm to float forwards and up. And breathing in as the arm floats back down, and we allow the other arm to start floating upwards. And if you want to, as one floats up, the other one can float down. Feel that there's an energy drawing from one fingertip to the other fingertip, extending up and away, drawing up and down at the same time. Lovely. And we feel as though we've worked evenly on both arms. We'll allow the arms to rest down by our sides. Beautiful. Good. From there, let's allow the right ear to dip down towards the right shoulder. Taking a nice deep breath, and we'll let the head lift up and over to the opposite side. And as we lift on up, the head tips over to the right side. And into the centre, up and over to the opposite side. Now, has anybody started practicing in their little daily practice, bringing the head into the centre and allowing the head to tip forwards and then draw back? And pressing forwards and back, just taking two more like that. So let me know if you've started putting this into your sort of stretch sequence and whether it's having any impact for you. Take a deep breath, and we'll drop the chin and we'll start to roll gently down through the spine. Breath at the bottom, and then breathe out as we roll up through the spine. Let's lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, and once again take that little chin push and draw back, finding that alignment, and then releasing the chin towards the chest and rolling down through the spine. Getting that nice bit of movement through the vertebrae. Take a nice deep breath at the bottom. Breathing out as we roll up through the spine, coming up through the vertebrae. Just roll the shoulders back and down. Let's allow the chin to knock forwards and then draw back. Just one more like that. And then we'll come into our plie work. Lifting those shoulders, roll them back and down. Take that little chicken nod. Draw the chin back and hold it for me there. Feeling that the head is really floating up towards the space above us. Now let's take some bends through the knee. So, but softening in at the knee and the ankle, and then we'll allow ourselves to lengthen. Good. So plie just means to bend, but it comes from ballet. And in ballet, we tend to keep our spine lengthening upwards for the majority of what we're doing. So what I want you to do is have a real good think about keeping the pelvis nice and still. Your plumb line is dropping down and it stays in place. Notice if you find that little tip. Some of us get to a point where the hips just pull us up forwards. See if you can keep yourself lengthened through the spine. Lovely. And then adding the arms in, if you feel as though you can do that without tipping the torso forwards. Lovely, last one there. And allowing the legs to lengthen, draw the fingertips in towards one another. Let's take a little spine twist. So we're keeping the pelvis nice and still, let the rib cage gently rotate round. Breathing in as we return back to the centre. And round. There, let's allow the hands to come in front of us. We'll roll those shoulders back and down, connecting in through the tummy. Allow the hands to gently open out, elbows are nice and tight. And then we'll draw the arms back in. Lovely. And again, arms open out to the side, shoulders glide together. Breathing in as we let the arms return. Lovely, let's take two more like that. Really getting those shoulders gliding together, so openness through the chest. Arm is going to gently open out and around the head. Don't spill whatever you've got, whatever you're carrying in your hand, and then circle back around, changing over to the other side. Changing sides each time. And press the hands away, push through the heel of the hand, shoulders are gliding down the back, and then we'll gently circle the arms, breathing out for 3, 2, changing direction, keep the breath flowing. I asked you to breathe in and didn't tell you to breathe out, just keep it flowing. Reverse the circle, 3, 2, 1, change in direction, 3, 2, 1, release the arms, give them a little shake out. Good. Let's see if we can take those hands just behind us and find in the elbows. So when I get here, I'm tight in my shoulders today. So we're allowing the hands to come towards the elbows and try not to let this happen. This is where I'm going with it. Oh. So we're going to lift the shoulders and bring them back and down. And once again, I'm thinking of my chicken head. I want to make sure I'm not here, but I've got that drawing back through the head. And then I need to connect into my tummy so that my tailbone doesn't pop out behind me. So it's really drawing down and away. Nice and deep with the breath, just to really get us moving. Let's release through the neck here. So right ear dips over to the right side. Oh, that's good. Coming up through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. Oh, one more on each side. Come back to the centre. Let's allow the head to just rotate gently round to the right side. Coming back into the centre and rotating round to the opposite side. On each side. Back to the centre, let's allow those arms to release. Give them a little jiggle out. Lovely. And then we'll take some side bends. So we've got the feet just hip distance apart. Shoulders are gliding down the back. Let's allow the right fingertips to glide down the side of the leg. Head extends out and away. Breathing in as we come through the centre. Head extends out and away as we come up and over to the other side. Now if you want to add the top arm do, take a moment to check that your knees are still soft. So you're not locking back through the knees. We're coming up and over to the opposite side. we do that, we've got our weight staying sinking into both feet evenly, and we're looking to keep the pelvis right above the feet, so that as we're extending here, it's all coming from the waist. On the left side, yeah, we've already done the right side. So as we come here, we're going to allow this right hand to come across us, and then we're going to open that arm out. So it's actually as if you're putting your seatbelt on. So in contemporary dance, we tend to exaggerate pedestrian movements. So essentially, this would be your contemporary dance version of putting your seatbelt on. Just one more for me. And now take a big step with your left foot and go a little bit deeper into the leg, bend through the knee, and then bend the right knee as you open out. And again, we'll sink really low, and we'll open out through the chest. Just one more. And bringing the feet back together. Let's do it on the other side. So we'll allow that left hand to lift, bringing the left hand across and opening out. And coming across and opening out. Lovely. Nice sense of openness through the chest there. Step onto our right leg. We step down with the right leg and open across. Let there be a bit of bend through the knee so that we can get that sense of rotation through the torso. Beautiful. Lovely. Bringing the feet back together. Now, finding a spot on the wall in front of you, something you can focus on, and we'll take a little bit of balance work. So we'll allow the heels to gently lift, and then we'll float those heels back down. Let's take 3 more like that. As you do, see if as you come back down, you can take your weight right into the centre of both your feet. I did the perfect example at the beginning there of rocking all the way back on my heels and then coming back forwards. We'll see if we can bring it right into the centre as we come back. Ankles stay in nice alignment. Now hold it for me there. Keep those feet sinking equally into the floor. We're going to take a breath, draw in through the tummy and allow the right leg to lift. Lower the leg. Good. So this time we'll lift the leg and then we'll float the foot down and we'll allow that same leg to push out to the side. Good, let's do that again. So it's the right side, we're lifting, we're lowering down and then we're pushing that leg out to the side. If you don't need to touch the ground in between, that's marvellous. If you do, that's okay too. We'll keep the breath flowing. We've got that squeeze in through the tummy. Just going to add that little knee opener in there. Lift, knee opens out to the side. Coming back through to the centre, floating the leg down and push the leg out and away. Now, arms might help to balance us. As you lengthen the arms out, see that they're in your peripheral vision. I forgot to do my knee opening. Well done, Janet. One. Knee opens out to the side. Ooh, stabilising leg is talking to us. And release down, give it a little jiggle. Well done. Hips are nice and level. Left leg starts to lift. And we float back down. And again we lift on up. Float down, push that leg out to the side. So we're starting to get into that side of the hip. Good, and we lift on up. And we push out to the side. And then we'll add in that little knee opener. Knee opens out to the side. Coming back and pushing away. So you can take the weight into both feet in between if you need to. But if you're happy to, we'll see if we can keep ourselves balanced on that right leg and really pulling out of your waist, really pulling out and that'll allow you to get more strength, more stability. Are we there with the arms? Shoulders dropping down and away. I reckon we've got one more in us. Good news is we've all got furniture nearby if we start to have a wobble, but to catch ourselves on. And releasing there, give that a good jiggle out. Nice work, well done guys. Good. So we'll take a little roll down through the spine and we'll add in our plank work. If you know coming to the floor is a challenge and you'd rather do it once, let's do 3 roll downs and then come onto hands and knees. If you're going to do the push-up, we'll gradually bring ourselves out to it. So we'll start off by just bringing the hands to the floor and bringing yourself out gradually, exploring that transference of weight. Take a nice deep breath for me there. As you breathe out, we'll release through the top of the head, rolling down through the spine. Softening at the knees, walking the hands gently forwards, just transferring your weight onto your hands. And then we're rolling up, head is nice and heavy. And we bring the head back on top. Nice deep breath, breathing out as we roll down through the spine. Walking the hands gently forward, seeing if you can transfer all the way to that plank position. And then walking back in. Those of you that are doing just your roll downs and roll ups, if you've done your 3 now, bring yourselves onto hands and knees. Take a moment there for me. Down to that plank position now. If you're on hands and knees and you're happy to, you're going to see if you can walk your hands a little bit further forwards. So we're all going to find this plank position. Now I'm busy trying to find my weight in the centre of my 2 hands. And while I'm here, I'm going to think, stretch the head out and away, shoulders glide down the back. And if I'm thinking, this is making me shake, lower the knees. Find that sense of length through the torso. Knees to hips to shoulders, gliding the shoulders down the back, head extends out and away. So we've either got the knees lifted or we've got the knees lowering down and we're all still breathing. Let's take one more breath. Check that you've not got your bottom up in the air, but it's in line with your shoulders and knees. Good. Lowering the knees. Allow yourself to sit back onto your heels. Lengthen the arms in front of you. Rest the forehead. Breathe nice and gently. Ourselves onto hands and knees, and let's allow the hands to be directly underneath the shoulders and the knees come underneath our hips. Now, cheeky little pose here, we've got our bear pose. So from here I want you to make sure you're really strong through the tummy and get those shoulders gliding down the back. Tuck the toes under and just allow your knees to lift like an inch away from the floor. So we'll take 5 nice deep breaths here. So our weight isn't coming any further forwards, neither is it coming any further back. If you've got your hips directly above your knees, you're going to be working really hard right now. One more breath and lower the knees. Lovely. Releasing the toes. Let's take a little cat stretch from here. So we'll push the back up into the sky, let the head drop between the arms, tailbone points down, and then we lengthen out and away. One more like that, and then we'll take our thread in the needle. So we'll get a nice sense of rotation. Nice deep breath, the right hand lifts. We weave the right hand through the gap between the hand and the knee. And we breathe in as we bring the arm back. Changing over to the opposite side, the hand lifts. We weave through. As the arm returns. And we're changing sides each time. The right hand weaves through the gap. That's it, lovely. So if you want to, you're adding in that opening, the arm opening out. Lovely, and then feeding through. Changing over to the other side. And feeding through. A moment to sit back onto your heels, because some of us will have found that's a bit much. We've worked on our wrist for quite some time. Just taking a moment there. Allow ourselves to take a big lunge forwards with our right foot. Yes, that's right, yeah. So we're on one knee and the other knee is pointing forwards. Notice that there's a big gap between my knee and my foot, and my foot is right underneath my knee. So if you need to hoik it a little bit further forwards, go for that. Marvellous. We'll take a nice tip through the pelvis here. So we're tipping gently under and then we're releasing, which is the same as that tipping action that we did when we were standing, when we were looking for that nice neutral position. Some people find it a lot harder in this position, and it means that either we do a little shifty here, or sometimes we do a little shifty through the rib cage, but we want to make sure it's really the pelvis that's moving for us. Now, if you feel you can do from here, transfer your weight a little bit further forwards, and the opposite hand can rest down onto the floor. So we'll feel a really nice sense of stretch in the front of the hip there, in the pelvis. Nice, keep breathing for me, guys. Beautiful. Change over to the other leg. If you can, do it with balancing without hands, it's all rather magical. If you need to put the hand down, that's okay too. So when we get there, we'll allow ourselves to do a little tippy forwards and back once again. Finding that sense of length and extension through that right hip. Feels good. A cushion underneath your knee though, by all means do that. Feels good in the hip. Some people are going, not in the knee though. That's all right. And then we'll bring our weight forwards. Again, you can take the opposite hand down. If you're finding that it's really uncomfortable on your knee, you might be more comfortable to tuck the toe under and lift the back knee. It's a bit more of an intense stretch, but if it takes the strain away from the knee, then it's all good. Good. From there, floating that knee down, bringing the leg back. Now, we're back onto hands and knees for our swimming exercise. So, this is where I have to make sure I'm not kicking my little Buddha. We'll allow the shoulders to glide down the back, head extends out and away. Do your funky chicken for me once more, just to really feel as though the back of the neck is lengthening and the back of the head. And as I draw up through the back of my neck and the head, my tummy automatically pulls up to assist me. So we take a nice deep breath in from there, and as we breathe out, we'll slide the right leg away from us, seeing if we can keep the hips really nice and level and still. Breathe in as the leg returns. As we lengthen the opposite leg away, we can allow the opposite arm to stretch out and away. That didn't make much sense, sorry, I'll say that again. Right leg stretches away as it does, the left arm can reach. Make sure as we do that, we've got a really good squeeze in the tummy and we're not letting our head drop. So we're keeping the head lengthening out and away, back of the neck is lengthening, we've got loads of work going on for the shoulder. Adventurous, and I can sense that you are too. If you're feeling adventurous, come into the bear position for me again. Oh, let's see if we can do it like this. So we stretch the leg away and we draw the leg back in. Stretch the leg away. Oh, now I'm thinking I wish I practiced this before I got to you. Opposite arm to leg. Oh, it's really hard. And drawing in. Try it for me. Have a play. It might be that the legs lengthen away, it might be that the arms lengthen away, it might be that both lengthens away, and it might be that the knees stay on the ground. Making sure that you're even on both sides. And then come onto the ground, let's come on down onto our fronts. So, once we get there, we'll allow the elbows to go nice and wide. We'll allow the fingers to point forwards. Nose to hover just an inch away from the floor. And when we're there, we'll allow the pelvis to be nice and weighty into the ground. We'll allow ourselves to draw in through the belly. Tailbone stretches away. I had to have a gulp of water. Take a deep breath. As you breathe out, we're going to allow the shoulders to glide down the back. Allow the head to extend out and away, and we'll let the breastbone gently lift, and we'll breathe in as we float back down. Good, keep that going for me. I am going to demonstrate twice, and then I'll keep talking you through it, because I'm aware that you can't hear me if I talk into the ground. That. As you do, you're allowing the breastbone to lift away from the floor. You're keeping the nose pointing towards the ground, shoulders are gliding down the back. If you want to, last couple, draw the arms round by your side, let the fingers stretch towards the toes, palms face the ground, and we breathe in as we draw back. Finish off your final one there, fingertips glide towards the toes, breastbone lifts. And you're floating down. Beautiful. Come onto your side to come to face me. Suddenly really thirsty, sorry. I'm also the loudest gulper in the world. My kids tell me off for it. So that wasn't the microphone really loudly picking me up. It just is that I gulp really loudly. Let the head rest on down. Shoulders, these are hips, aren't they? These are hips, put them on top of one another. Shoulders on top of one another. Take a nice deep breath in, and we'll stretch and lengthen our legs away from us. Good. Lengthening, beautiful. This top hand's resting on the floor, maybe it's resting by our side, maybe it's lengthening up for the sky. Now if it's lengthening up for the sky, just check that you can see it in your peripheral vision. So it's not dropping back behind you, but it's right in your peripheral, so you can see it in the corner of your eye. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, top leg starts to gently circle. When I first started teaching, I really used to worry that when I said peripheral, I would say profiterole. Never said it by accident, but it used to really worry me. Let's take 4 more circles in the opposite direction. We've got that nice tight squeeze in the tummy. Now, let's energise that top shoulder down the back. Hold it for me there. Keep those toes reaching for me. Both legs are lengthening if we can. If you know you need the bottom leg to be bent and on the floor, that's fine. Top arm reaches up and over the head. Back, reaching the fingertips towards your toes. Shoulder glides down the back. And again, the arm lifts up over the head. And then bringing that arm back by our side. Good. Now if you fancy it, we've got a little side bend here. You don't need to add the side bend in, but you can do if you want to. So those fingers keep reaching, reach, and we have a little triangular window underneath our armpit. There it is, beautiful. Just one more. Floating down, beautiful. Soften the legs down, softening through the knees. Legs in, give yourself a little squeeze in the tummy, top hip tips gently forwards, and we'll allow that top knee to gently lift. And again, keeping that squeeze in the tummy, we lift. And lift. glue the knees together for me. Allow both the feet to lift and lower. And we lift and lower. Gorgeous, good. 3 more. Good, releasing. Just take hold of that top foot and we'll stretch the knee away. Top leg to really have a nice long stretch. So the knees pointing down and away from you. The foot's coming quite close to the bottom. Now as you do that, see if you can really stretch the knee down and away, and maybe think about almost pulling the knee behind you. As you do, tailbone tips under. So the tailbone is kind of, or the pelvis is kind of pushing forwards. So you're really looking to lengthen along that front of the thigh. Nice and deep with the breath there. And releasing. If you've got a cushion that you can pop under your head, now's the time to do it. Both arms come forwards. And then we'll open up like a book. That's it, nice. Take a deep breath, let the arm open. Eyes are fixed on the hand. And we'll breathe in as we draw that arm back in. And gently opening. Just like to have a little stretch out of that glute, the one that we've just been using, and you know which one it is because you all felt the urge to give it a good rub when you just brought the legs down. So as we come onto our back, the leg that's been doing the work, the one that was on the top, can just come across the leg in a kind of triangular window. Lovely. So from here, we'll weave our hands around the opposite leg, the one that's got the foot resting on the floor, and we'll bring the legs in close to us. If you find it difficult to reach your leg in that position, you can always use a band, wrap the band around this leg and then hook the band in, or a belt or something along those lines. Or you can pop yourself near to a wall or a handy sofa if you've got one to hand, and just allow yourself to use the wall to prop you up, and then you don't need to use the arms. So that's quite handy. In there, let's switch over to the other side straight away. Now, if you want to just roll away from the camera, that's fine, because ultimately you all know what you're doing and I can talk you through it. But if you want to still look at me, that's lovely too. So we've got the hips on top of one another and the shoulders on top of one another. Let's just check that we can see our toes, if we can normally see our toes when we're standing. Nice and deep with the breath. So as always, in any of the exercises, if you get into this position and you think, oh, that don't feel very nice, there's alternatives. So just remembering the options that I gave you in the layers as we went along. If your back is pinching here, bring the legs further forwards. If your neck's feeling sore, float the bottom leg down. Keeping both legs reaching if we can do. Top arm can reach up for the sky, or it just rests by our side. Let's gently circle that top leg. We're taking 4 in one direction and 4 in the other direction. So here's the thing. I'm asking you to lift both your legs away from the floor, which when you've got the legs lengthening, you're going to be really working into those core muscles for stability. I think that's 4, we should change direction. And that is a challenge in itself, and I keep you there for stamina. Now, as I ask you to circle the leg, I'm challenging your balance further. It's making you wobble. So the larger the circle is, the more of a challenge it will be for you. Come into stillness with the legs. Keep those legs reaching. So really look to allow yourself to extend the legs even further away. Arm extends up and over. Coming back over as if you're making a really gorgeous rainbow over the top of yourself. Beautiful, yeah, lovely. And then if you feel ready to take that side bend work, we can allow the fingertips to reach towards the toes and we lift. Now, remembering, if you've got both legs lifted, it's a marvellous thing. If you're thinking, no, too much for me, bottom leg can rest on down. See if we can keep the top leg lifted, because we all know that we are working pretty hard there. Last one. And floating down. Float those legs down, soften the knees in. Woo, good. Tipping that top hip forwards. Now, what I can't see very well on the camera is whether this hip is staying still. So, I'm going to suggest you put your hand on top of that hip and fix it in place. Fix it in place with the abs. Keep the hips nice and still. That top knee gently lifts and lowers. Imagine that I am there holding your pelvis in place, not letting it rock forwards and back as the leg moves. Beautiful. We're all still breathing. Good. Together we'll allow the feet to lift. From there, grab hold of that top foot. Let's take a nice stretch into the front of the thigh. So we'll grab the foot. Some people find it easier to bring it in front of us, get hold of it released in front and then guide it back. Other people find it better to stretch the leg out and away and then quickly hoik the foot close to the bottom. When we get there, just ease into the stretch. Let everything else be nice and relaxed. Notice for me if your knee is doing a cheeky pointing up to the sky trick. We're going to see if we can bring that down, which may mean that the outside leg is quite strong and it's quite dominant. So we want to say to it, no, 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 no. Come into alignment. Let's find some length for that quad. So we're stretching the knee back behind us. And we've got a sense of connection here in the pelvis. The pelvis is tipping forwards. If we get a nice sense of the pelvis tipping forwards and the knee pulling back, that quad's going to be lengthening beautifully. Just let that top shoulder really glide down the back. Now releasing the legs. Pop the cushion underneath your head. That's it, yeah, shuffle to where you need to be so you're not going to bash whatever's behind you. Taking a nice deep breath and the top arm gently opens. Eyes fixed on the hand and breathing in as the arm returns. I think we've all now found the room that works for us where we don't bash the wardrobe so much. Breath flowing. Off there. Let's stretch out through that glute. So we'll come onto our back and we'll allow the leg that's been doing all that work on the top to come across the knee. And we've got that nice triangular shape there. I've got my Nora Batty leggings on today. They just go really wrinkly around the calf. Let's allow that knee to open out to the side. Shoulders melting down into the ground. We'll weave our hands around that leg that's got the foot on the floor. Shoulders melt down into the ground when we get there, and just start to feel that releasing into the pelvis. And again, if you want to just shuffle yourself closer to a wall or a sofa or some piece of furniture that can support you, then just allow that foot to rest onto the piece of furniture, and then you can concertina yourself in as you want, as feels good. And release in there, bringing the feet back onto the floor. Lovely. So you might not need your cushion anymore. You can get rid of the cushion if you want to. If you know that you find it difficult to get that length across the back of the neck and it tends to kind of scrunch on in, allow yourself to keep that cushion under your head. Otherwise we can release and get rid of the cushion. Let's find a nice neutral position here. If you want to take a few breaths with the legs extended, that's marvellous. If you're happier with the knees bent, that's brilliant too. So we'll allow the head to just gently roll from side to side. Allow the head to come into the centre. We'll tuck the chin in slightly and allow the back of the neck to lengthen. Let the pelvis gently rock, tipping gently forwards and gently back, taking it through those two extremes. In that place where our pelvis comes to level, so the pubic bone and the hip bones are level with one another. When we find that place, we've got a nice sense of the rib cage softening into the floor. Oh, if you haven't already, bring your feet onto the floor and let your knees bend, and then you can find that nice neutral spine position. So we've got a nice sense of length through the torso with those natural curves. Let's allow the arms to lengthen up towards the sky, and we'll allow those shoulders to draw out of the ground, and then we'll just soften them back and down. And again, allow those shoulders to lift up and soften back and down. Just one more. And softening the shoulders back and down. Now with those shoulders sinking down into the ground, check you've got a nice sense of connection through the core. We'll take some little arm circles here. So we'll breathe out for half the circle and we'll breathe in to complete the circles. So keep that going for me. We're going to take 5 circles in this direction and then we'll take 5 circles in the opposite direction. And if you feel happy to, as the arms circle, let the right leg stretch away from you. Breathing in as the leg returns. Change over to the opposite side. Leg stretches away. And then drawing back. Change the direction of the arm circles if you haven't already. Circling around. Rib cage stays sinking into the floor. Shoulders stay gliding down into the ground. Let the arms nice and still for me. This time, as you slide your right leg away from you, let the left arm go over the head. So the left arm is stretching away. Breathe in as the arm and the leg return. As the left leg stretches away, let the right arm extend away from you. Drawing the arm and the leg back in. This time, right leg stretches away, left arm extends up and over the head. Draw the arm and the leg back in. Let the knee open out to the side at the same time the opposite arm is going to open out. Breathing in as you return. Stretch the left leg away as the right arm extends up and over the head. Drawing them both back together, and then that right arm opens out as the left knee opens out to the side. Beautiful. Want to challenge yourself further, you can allow that toe to be lifted so the knee can come to hover above the hip socket. Pelvis stays nice and still as the knee opens out to the side. Over to the opposite side. If you want to, as the arm extends up and over the head, the opposite arm can lengthen towards the floor. And we'll draw both arms in. Keep that left arm still as the right arm opens out to the side. And if you want to, you can add a little abdominal curl up here. So bringing the arms back by your side as you reach towards the toes. Breathing in as you come back to that start position. Right leg stretches away, left arm extends over the head. Draw the arms back to the sky. Maybe the knee lifts, maybe it doesn't. Let the knee open out to the side. Now, if you've got the leg lifted, as you float the foot back down, you're thinking about reaching the toes towards, fingers towards the toes, and then we come back down. Good. Opposite arm to leg extends away. This is our last one. Letting that knee lift. Knee opens out to the side. And we'll all finish off with our arms by our side, feet on the floor. Maybe you've taken a little abdominal curl up, maybe you haven't, and that's all good. Take a nice deep breath for me there. Allow that right knee to lift, to hover above the hip socket, bringing the calf to a 90-degree angle. We'll take our leg extensions from here. So taking a nice deep breath, strengthening into the core, stretch the right leg away from us. Breathe in as the leg returns. And again, the leg stretches away. Now it might be the leg can stretch really nice and low to the floor, and that's lovely. Check for me, rib cage is sinking into the ground, pelvis is nice and stable and level. Here, got that nice tight connection through the tummy. Allow that knee to just hover above the hip socket. Let's see if we can maintain neutral as we aim to just stretch the leg away from us and then drawing the leg back in. So the thigh bone stays still, we stretch the toe up for the sky and we draw the leg back in. You've got a nice squeeze in the tummy, stretching the leg away, drawing back in. We've got two more like that. Last one. Hold it for me there. Now, if you know the 100 position is marvellous for you, then stick with me. If you'd rather work with one leg, float that leg down and change to the other side. If you want to explore, we'll do press the lower back into the floor, squeeze in through the tummy. Allow the second leg to lift. Now you've got a moment here to think, this is great, I feel really well challenged, or it might be a moment to think, uh-oh, my back's feeling a bit uncomfortable. Now my tummy's doming upwards. I know I've lost my technique. So whichever version you're going with, let's find a way to make that work for us. If we're struggling in our two-legged 100 position, put the right foot down and allow the left leg to be lifted. If you're here and you're thinking this is a really nice challenge, we'll just let the knees push a little bit further away. Give it 2 more breaths in this modified 100 position. And then we'll lower the right leg down, keep the left leg lifted. Nice deep breath. Neutral spine returned. Stretch the leg away from you. Breathe in as the leg returns. And again, sliding that leg away. Breathing in as the leg returns. And gliding the leg away. Breath in as the leg returns. Just 2 more like that. Knee to just hover above the hip socket. Again, seeing if you can maintain neutral as you stretch the leg up and away, drawing the leg back in. And again, the leg stretches up and away, drawing back in. Taking 3 more like that. Bring that left knee in and give it a really good hug, and we'll slide the right leg away from us. Allow the right leg to slide in, we'll allow the left leg to slide away from us. That left leg in, let's allow the right leg to stretch up towards the sky. I do appreciate that some of us find it really difficult to hold on to our leg once we get there. If you've got a band or a belt or a towel that you could just wrap your foot, wrap around your foot, that would be marvellous. Keep that nice squeeze in the tummy, keep the back pressing into the floor. If you know that this makes your head tip upwards, you could maybe use a cushion, but see if in that position you can try to just lengthen across the back of the neck. You might feel as though you're tucking your chin in slightly, which might feel a little bit odd, but go with it, it will really extend the stretch. Take a breath, let that leg come just a little across the midline of the body. So those of us that found that in that quad stretch our knee was lifting a bit towards the sky, this will be a really nice stretch to get that level, that balance in the leg. And release, and let's change over to the other leg. So allow that left leg to lengthen up towards the sky. You can hold on around the back of the thigh. And if you want to wrap a band around the foot, by all means do. We've got that leg lengthening, so we're aiming to fully extend into the leg. We're aiming to find extension in the knee. If we find it difficult to keep the neck in line, just pop a cushion underneath your head, and that will give you a little bit more release on the neck, so the neck will be a bit more supported and it won't be straining. Breaths, it eases that little bit closer towards you. Taking a breath, and we'll allow that leg to ease gently across the body. Connection through the tummy there. Tight, just see if you can give it some extra breath. So breathe into the tight spot. See if the other areas can feel particularly soft, relaxed, not holding tension. And then bringing both the knees in towards the chest and giving them a good hug. I'm going to get rid of this cushion now. Allow ourselves, yeah, lovely. I'm seeing a few rocks from side to side. That is lovely. Then what we can do is, if you really want to, we're going to peel the head up towards the knees, and we'll take a little bit of rocking forwards and backwards. Some of us love this action and it feels lovely in our spine. Others of us, it's not good for our spines. Those of us with particular kyphosis, particularly stiff lower backs, any osteoporosis, we probably want to avoid doing this action. But those of us that are really loving it, you know, keep going for me. We can come up to sit. We're either going to, look, I've got all of a minute left. So we can either take a little stretch, feet come together, knees go wide, and we just ease over the legs. We haven't done rolling like a ball for a while. So either have a little stretch here, or taking our rolling like a ball. Now, just going to talk you through it and you can come with me. Just make sure there is space behind you. There's nothing behind you you're going to knock your head on. Head and neck stay away from the floor. Hands onto the shins. Squeezing in through the tummy. We've got a connection into the core. Tipping back and rocking up. Have maybe 3 or 4 in your own time. Have a little play with it. If you know that's not for you, you're curving or you're easing forwards into those hips. I think that's about 4, guys. When we get there, let's allow those toes to just hover just an inch away from the floor. So I'm going to get those of us that have been doing this nice wide stretch, we're going to come on up. We're going to do a final little connection into the core to get us into the weekend. Shoulders gliding down the back, lifting through the breastbone. Let's see if we can get that right leg to stretch a little further. And draw the leg back down. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And again. And we'll stretch the left leg away. And we'll draw the leg back down. You know where we're going. Let's try it. Both legs extend, lengthen, lengthen. Nice and deep with the breath. Let's see if we can reach beyond. And then give it a little jazz hands. Clearly that's nothing to do with Pilates. And releasing. Well done, guys. Give it a little release there. Do whatever you need to rub or shake or whatever you need. And then let's allow ourselves to come up to standing. I'm going to come from a crouch position, rolling up through the spine. Take your time a bit on the floor for a while. So we're tucking the toes gently under. And pressing the heels into the ground, letting the head be heavy. And then allowing ourselves to come gently up through the spine. Lifting the shoulders when we get there, rolling the shoulders back and down, and I hope you feel better than you did when you started, like I do. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in. Let's reach for the sky. Breathing out, and we'll let it all go. Give it a good shake out. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well done, guys.